Welcome back to NH Unscripted, you lucky listeners. Yes, now that you're here, there are two less lonely people in the world. I am your air supply-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Taj Mahal-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. My God, it's cavernous in here. Yes, I got my Nehru jacket on, a new one for the new year, by the way. My bell-bottom pants. I got my platform shoes on. You know the drill around here. Break out those transistor radios where you'll find us at 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, Concord, 101.9 FM for the beautiful, beautiful souls in Manchester. Yeah, baby, we love you folks down there. We appreciate everybody. Happy New Year, by the way. This is my first show back since, it's probably been over a month, I think, since I've done some. Holy Toledo. Time passes fast. Oh, new year, new sponsor. Yes, hang on. Oh, man, we are proud of this one. Shaheen Gordon, the law offices of Shaheen and Gordon in Concord. We are so proud to have them sponsor our show. Since 1981, their focus has been providing personalized attention for each client, backed by extensive experience and resources. You know, we've had Jim Rosenberg in him 3 or 4 times, and I'm telling you, if he represents them, if they're anything like it, they have got to be exemplary. That man is just astounding. He would come in here just to chit-chat, and he's got his legal pad with him. He's got names and dates and addresses. I can't believe that how prepped I wasn't that prepped when he comes in. Anyway, Shaheen Gordon. ShaheenGordon.com is their website. ShaheenGordon.com. Phone number there is 603-614-5560. I mean, they handle it all. Personal injury, DUI, workers' comp, real estate, family law. Just go out to their website. Kick the tires around there. See what's going on. And I think you'll be very happy. We are. Thank you. We appreciate all they do. Well, we like to focus here, as many of you know, on theater. Many times we talk about upcoming shows, but you know that we like to get into the minutia. You can't have a good show without good talent, and very, very rarely do we get to examine what goes into making that talent good. And in the studio with me today is Matt Cahoon. Hello, sir.
Hello.
And Kyrie Ellison-Keller.
Yes, that's right. Hello.
Nice to meet you as well. Matt, take us on a little bit of a tour here. Why are you in the building?
Well, thanks, Ray. First of all, thanks for having us in. I've talked with you a number of times, mostly wearing my Theater Kapow hat, but really anxious and excited to talk to you about some of the work we're doing up at New Hampton School with our theater program. As some of you probably know, and maybe you know, I spent 18 years at Pinkerton Academy running the drama club there, running the Stockbridge Theater, doing a lot of work with touring artists, and then in 2022 decided I wanted to make a change. I wanted to be at a smaller school where I could maybe have a larger impact. And there's this little boarding school in the Lakes region called New Hampton School where a number of my friends had gone through there, either as students themselves or worked in the theater program there. And decided to make the move. Carrie and I moved up to New Hampton, lived there on campus, lived the life of boarding school faculty, and one of the very first things I did was reached out to Kyrie to come join me there. Kyrie started as our technical director, but almost immediately switched to become the associate director of theater there, and we've been building a program up there ever since.
So, Kyrie, give us a little bit about your background and how the two of you know each other, and then we'll talk a little bit more about your function there.
Yeah, it's kind of serendipitous. So I'm born and raised in New Hampshire, but I have done the majority of my theatrical work in New York City. In the wake of the pandemic, my husband and I had made the move back to New Hampshire, and in sending out my resume looking for more theatrical work to do, Matt found my resume and said, hey, this is a thing that I'm doing, and based on what I'm seeing on the work that you do and the work that you like to do, I think this would be fun. And that's how we met and how we started collaborating and how we eventually began to build this program.
So let's talk about the program. Matt, what did you see? How did it come about? You saw something that was either missing or a gap that could be filled, or you just had this itch you want to scratch. How did this come about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, I was leaving Pinkerton where I had 138 kids in the theater program. It was huge. It was thriving. But there was a little bit of disconnect with some one-on-one connections with students. And so I looked at several different schools, and New Hampton, to me, it offered a real potential to build a program. The program hadn't really recovered from COVID. It was really floundering. There were kids who were interested, but it wasn't being taken very seriously. And the head of school up there, Joe Williams, I remember my first conversation with him, and I said, I understand the program needs a shot in the arm. And he said, no, it needs a shot in both arms. And I need you to come in and fix this. And so I was super excited just to be able to roll up my sleeves and work on a new program. And literally our first week on campus was rolling up our sleeves, sweeping the theater, cleaning the dressing rooms, and being like, we have to set the tone for when these kids get back to campus that this is a new program and the expectations are going to change.
So you get out the whiteboard and you have to now start mapping out this roadmap of potentially what you hope it to be and where it is. So what did that look like? What were the components that had to come together for that?
It's massive.
I believe that.
Kyrie, we have a shared note on our phones that from day one, I was like, here's what we need to do to build this program. And ever since then, for 3 years, we add stuff to that note. So for us, it started with the classroom. Like, how could we get instruction in space? How could we actually train students to do the work and not just do it as something for fun?
Yeah. So
when I started at New Hampton, I brought 4 classes with me, the curriculum for 4 classes from Pinkerton. We've since grown that to 9 courses in the program. We really believe in the work that we're doing and the work that we're training the next generation of theater students, kids who are very serious. They want to come. They want to learn about theater because they want to go on and do it in college. Then we have some kids who just are interested to try something new. And I love that mix. And I'll also say that with Kyrie, my whole career, I've been looking for people who are willing to work as hard as I am. And this person is willing to work as hard as I am. So every day we go to work, and we go in and we're like, what are we going to fix today? And that's just been an awesome 3 years of playing in the sandbox together.
Mm-hmm.
So what were some of the early wins? I mean, at some point you're like, okay, if we can get this piece done, we've made an accomplishment. It might not be big, but we've overcome that little hurdle.
Mm-hmm. I think, the dressing room, the prop and costume room, getting the stage oriented the way that we wanted, those were early wins. And we really had to take those early wins because walking into a program that had maybe 6 core players was challenging and hard. It's hard to put on a show with 6 students repeatedly.
Wait, it's that small a number of?
It started out that small.
Yeah?
It started out that small. And then our second year, we jumped from having 6 students on stage to having 20. And then followed up this year with that 20 with 56. So it's just been growing steadily and steadily. And I think that those are some of the early wins that I celebrate. Sitting back after Mamma Mia this year, which had 56 students involved, both on and off stage, I remember sitting and being like, we had 6. We had 6 when we started, and now we have so many that we can't fit them all on stage. We have to keep building the stage out to make space for them.
That's impressive.
That's a win. That's exciting.
Yeah. Wow.
I remember sitting in auditions our second year, and I look over and Kyrie is crying. And I was like, what is happening? And she said, do you remember last year? We couldn't find people who wanted to be in the shows, and now we're going to be turning people away. Mm-hmm. And that was a big win. That was a big win.
I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
On air.
I cry a lot.
We'll get you the tape. So what was wrong with the program? Was it just nobody paid attention, or was, oh, hang on, dang it, you hear the music? Put a pin in it right there. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your happy to be out of bed host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the YMCA-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. We're talking good theater. We'll be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted. Ooh, baby, it's a wild world. I am your Cat Stevens-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Gong Show-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM for the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful souls in Manchester. We love you down there. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL. We are talking a very impressive theater program in New Hampton, the New Hampton School. Mr. Cahoon, what do you think, what's the draw here? You, at some point, now you went from 6 to 50-something, but the pitch to students who are thinking of coming to New Hampton, what's going on there?
Yeah, I wanna do something that's bad on radio and ask you to imagine something.
Oh, damn.
We have a picture we share a lot. In this picture, you'll see 3 girls standing in a line. One of them is a student that was at Pinkerton. She moved up to New Hampton, amazing singer, performer, wanted to get more serious about her art. The other 2 girls in that picture, one is from Vietnam and one is from the Czech Republic. So I talk about this picture a lot because this kid went from a giant high school to a tiny high school and her world blew up and got so much bigger. What I think the New Hampton advantage is on any given day, you'll hear 4 languages in our student union. You know, you'll walk through the dining hall, you'll see kids from all over the globe. We've got kids who want to come do theater at New Hampton from China.
What?
Yep, from Spain. They come from all over the place. And then we get these kids into shows with us. So our cell block tango last year was 3 or 4 girls from China, plus some American students. And I think that is unique, right? So these kids from New Hampshire who just love theater, they haven't done theater like this because they're getting this world view on what theater can look like. They're learning alongside kids from all over the globe.
So let's flesh that out a little bit more. What makes this unique? What makes it really stand out from just some high school? When I was in high school, we barely even had a theater program, and at best, if we were lucky, we played theater games where you pretended to be a rock, I pretended to be a stick, and you went on from there.
Right.
Why is this something that really where are they going to go from here? What's the whole focus?
I think what we pride ourselves on, and like my work with Kapow is not insignificant, right? We pride ourselves in the arts department at New Hampton that we're all working artists. We have the credibility with our students that we're doing the work ourselves. So Kyrie and I both work in the theater pretty extensively. Our kids know that, and they have some trust that we can take them somewhere that maybe they couldn't go with another educator. So I think that's really key. We're also building curriculum based on our experience. So one class I forgot to mention with you is a stage combat class. Kyrie is a trained choreographer for stage combat. So we're now teaching the students that. Not only is that about learning the skills, but it's about learning life skills, right? So it's not just that they're going to be better stage combatants. They're going to understand consent differently. They're going to understand how to take care of each other in space differently.
Ooh,
I think that's super important. Some of our kids are definitely going to go on to, we have a kid right now who's we have very high Broadway dreams for her. As big as her dreams are for herself, I think Kyrie and I have bigger dreams for her. We have kids who are going to go on and get significant training in a conservatory model after New Hampton. We have kids who are always going to be performers, but might decide to go into the business side, or they might decide to just go be English majors, but they're going to end up as teachers, teaching theater. And we love all of those kids, and all of those paths, I think, are valid coming out of our program. So we really do try to emphasize all of that.
Yeah. And technical design, too, not just performers. We have students who go on to want to study technical aspects of theater because we have a student-run crew. They're actually out there applying the skills before they even get to college, which I never got to do when I was in high school. It's exciting.
So for people who don't know, I mean, we talk a lot. This is a lot of inside baseball, but technical, what would that be for? Are we talking just a lighting board? I mean, what would that be to people who don't know what's going on?
Yeah, we've had the privilege of bringing on another team member this year, Kate Dugas, who is our new technical director, and they are creating spaces for students that model a professional company. So we have stage management, assistant stage management, we have light board operators, we have technicians, we have microphone techs, we have costumes, hair, all of the positions that you can imagine backstage that help a show happen on stage. We've got students in those positions running those spaces themselves with full knowledge and autonomy that they are moving in a direction that they can take ownership of. That's
incredible. You know, people don't think about all that goes on backstage, right? The actors get all the kudos and everything for the most part. But they forget that there's people who are backstage making sure the actor is where they should be when they should be, and, you know, creating costumes and sound. And that's great that you have the kids doing it, though. I mean, that's really... How is it being embraced? I mean, I know obviously the numbers speak for themselves, but what's the feedback you're getting?
Yeah, we're doing, so it's funny because we're doing the musical 6 right now, which only has 6 parts in it, right? So 6 actors are taking those 6 parts. We had a number of, sad kids who didn't get to be in that show. We have, at last count, I think we have 18 on crew. So we have 3 times as many kids working backstage as on stage. And they are so invested in their area, right? So we have somebody who just is going to do makeup and hair with her colleagues, her peers. And then we have others doing other aspects of the technical production. But I think they are, as a group, what I think our kids are most invested in is their community with each other. Kyrie started a tradition when we were doing Mamma Mia of something called Theater Thanksgiving. And every day they talk about something they're grateful for about the theater program. And it's actually one of these things that can kind of take over a rehearsal. We can do a Theater Thanksgiving circle that takes 40 minutes because they need to talk about how much they appreciate Kyrie or how much they appreciate what a classmate did for them. And I think that community, we always believed that if we could build community, we could then train them. Like if they believed they had a place where they fit, we then had an opportunity to really train them up to be as good as they can possibly be.
Man, oh man, oh man. There's so many questions. Are there any URLs or anything that you need to give out before we go too far?
I mean, I think for us, the big one is to visit our school website, which is, newhampton.org. We are in the midst of our admissions process with a number of students. Kyrie and I think one of the big things we did was we treated recruitment of theater kids like athletes. So we have coaches all over campus who will travel out, go to a basketball game, see the best player, say, you should come to New Hampton. And Kyrie and I are doing that with theater kids now. So we'll go see middle school shows. Yep. We have kids who send us video, like highlight reel stuff. And then we sit in the office and we're like, oh, this kid can really sing. And it's like, oh, this kid needs a little more work. And we have those conversations, and it's a really exciting time. So if there are families that are looking for that next thing for their theater passionate student, we just really want New Hampton to be on their radar because we're doing this work all the time. So they can reach out to us. They can reach out to us through the website. And Kyrie and I are happy to go see a middle school play if we have to.
Yes, we are.
So what does that application process look like for them?
Boarding schools have a standard application, kind of like the Common App with colleges now. So it's good or bad. You know, you can fill out your boarding school application and apply to several different boarding schools through the same application process. But our school, you could meet. What the process really looks like is we want kids on campus. We want them to come live the experience of what it's like to be at New Hampton. Come for a tour, interview with an admissions officer, visit a class, go to a performance. All of those things are super important for us because for lack of a better term, we're in a market, right, where there's a lot of boarding school options in New Hampshire, and we have to distinguish ourselves through our programming and through our people. Kyrie and I, on the way down, we're talking about what makes New Hampton different, which can be hard to quantify sometimes, but it's this kindness and community, this welcome feeling that is hard to put on a website or hard to put in a view book or something. So you really have to come and feel the space, talk with some of our students, meet the faculty, and that's what we would strongly encourage people to do.
How many students are there in the whole?
325.
There are.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Oh, we are moving on. We're going to get caught. I know we're going to get caught. You are listening to NH Unscripted, where only the good die young. Yeah, that makes me your Billy Joel-like host, Ray Dudley. Yeah, coming to you from the Green Acres-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your transistor radios. Yeah. 101.9 FM for the gorgeous souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL because we are cool. Yeah, that's right. We got a URL. All right, we'll be right back. We're talking New Hampton Theater Program, Cutting Edge. Be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted, where we are California dreaming. Maybe not so much right now. A little too early, I think, for that one. Our thoughts and prayers do go out to those people, though. Yeah. Okay, I always step into it. I am your mama and papa-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the not-so overly ostentatious digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL, and we are talking with Matt Cahoon and Kyrie Ellison-Keller about the New Hampton Theater Program up there, which is very, very unique. Some of the modules that you listed are classes, theatrical design and production, dramatic literature. How did you decide these were most important? Because your focus, you said, was to get them prepped for college auditions and stuff. How does that happen using these programs that you've chosen?
Yeah, I think for me, we know that a lot of the high school theater experience at other schools can just be the drama club in the afternoon. And what I experienced at Pinkerton was like, these kids haven't read any plays, right? They haven't seen anything. So their only experience might be the big Broadway shows that are on right now or whatever has made it to film that they've seen. And so for me, it was always going to start with like the work itself. Like, can we look at certain plays, certain musicals, and then can we train them in the technique, which there's no time. I've been in that world of high school theater when you're just trying to put up a show. There's no time to talk about technique, right? Yeah. You're talking about, can you learn your lines? Right. So we get to spend a lot of time in the classroom just dealing with technique stuff. And I think, I haven't mentioned it yet, but I've transitioned a little bit. I'm now the academic dean at New Hampton, so I am only teaching one class, and Kyrie and Kate have taken other on the course load for the most part. And so they're really in the trenches with these kids every day dealing with the technique piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are. Currently right now we are running, we can't give all 9 classes all at once because what would be the fun in that? Got to give everybody else a chance. But currently my course load is musical theater, introduction to theater, and oh my goodness, stage combat. How could I forget? So we're taking those 70-minute periods and really like digging into the why of theater. Like what aspects can we cover in 70 minutes that are technical training, but then also encouraging students to think about the art form in a more critical way and what they bring to the art form. How can they become the new designers, directors, choreographers, performers of the new age?
So do you push them to think outside the box? I mean, so you want to, there's the way it's always been done, mm-hmm. and then there's other ways to do it.
Yeah, all the time. I have the benefit of doing an independent study this semester as well with one student who is interested in theater, to use his words, sneakily. He has a million questions, and we are at the process of looking at what he's interested in and then how to prove mastery with that. But each day in class is okay, here's a problem with what you understand about audio. How would you solve it? And I get to watch his brain work because I'm not telling him how to fix it. I'm telling him what the components are that would make it work and then watching him fix it and figure it out. And he's finding new ways to do so that are outside of the training that I have, which is exciting.
Wow. You listed that you're preparing them for college auditions. Mm-hmm. What are college auditions like? I would imagine a lot of people don't even have an idea that there are college auditions for theater and stuff.
This is the wildest part of my job, and this is what I've been doing for 20 years now, but it is, people don't understand how competitive these programs are. So last year, the music theater program at Carnegie Mellon took 3.5% of the applicants, which is about twice as competitive as Harvard. Right. So when our kids come to us and they're like, I think I want to do musical theater in college, you're like, OK, you need to talk about what that means. Right. So some of these programs, even schools that may have a pretty high acceptance rate for the general student population, like a school like Baldwin Wallace in Ohio, accepts something like 80% of applicants. In the music theater program, it's under 4. Right. So they're taking a dozen kids a year, right? And they're getting 1,100, 1,200 applicants. So that process for us is about teaching our kids how to be competitive in a huge pool. So we have to go through everything. Since COVID, every school now does a pre-screen process. So you have to send in a video of yourself singing, a video of yourself doing a monologue, maybe a video of yourself dancing, and then get through that initial screening. Then you'll be invited to campus for an on-campus interview and an audition. And then you wait again. And all the while, you also have to apply to the school, right? So all of these programs, you have to get accepted academically and through talent. And so it's a huge process that it's almost like a full-time job for our seniors the first semester of their senior year. They work constantly learning new monologues, learning new songs, learning the dances that the schools want them to learn, putting together nice packages of film, headshots, all that stuff to go out, only to be told, nope, we don't want to see you, right? Mm-hmm. I think right now, Kyrie and I spend at least as much time as like psychologists with our kids as we do theater teachers, because we're like, it's okay. Just because they said no doesn't mean they don't love you. It's just, they didn't need your type in this moment. So we do a lot of that with the kids. But I think you're right. People don't know how competitive and how stressful that process can be. We talk with the college office all the time about, it's like every one of these schools, you basically have to apply to twice. Mm-hmm. And kids today, I don't know if you know this, Ray, but they're applying to a crap load of schools. So
no, I did not know that. Really?
I mean, mm-hmm. It's really not rare for a theater kid to apply to 20 plus schools.
What?
Yeah. So they're putting out all of this material to all of these different schools in hopes of getting that offer, right? In hopes of getting their chance to go somewhere and study this full time. So it's an intense process.
Man, mm-hmm. 20 schools.
Yeah.
No wonder they feel bad if they get rejected. Good grief.
And I say that to them all the time. You're going to hear no more than you hear yes. That's just the way it works.
I even tell them, go out and seek those no's. Make that your goal.
Yeah. Get them out of the way.
No's.
I got 10 no's.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you perceive to be successful then? What's the standard when you get a student, they go through your program? when do you feel most proud? What has happened over the evolution of those years where you're like, yes, we did it?
I'm going to just zoom out a little because I talk to my students about success all the time. Kids, and I don't think it's just kids, but kids define success in terms of dollars and cents, and I do not like that. And so I will always say to them, to me, you're successful if you wake up in the morning and you want to go to work. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money and they dread going to work every morning. Is that being successful? I don't think it is. So for me, these kids are going to be successful if they're doing what they love. We just had this conversation with a student yesterday where it's like, you want to work in this business, you're going to take every job. If somebody says, I want you to be third spear holder on the right, you're going to say yes, because you love this. You need this. And that's your success. You don't need the Broadway credit. You don't need the Hollywood movie. You just need to feel like I'm in the space where I belong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better. And like to think about like what is the success of each individual student? Well, each student has their own learning journey, and it's a little bit subjective. I would say success for me, when I see a student confident and proud of the work that they are producing, that's success for me.
Yeah, so they're fighting the Hollywood image, the Broadway image. That's all they really have for a focus as a point to like target. And that's what they think it's all about. I don't think they really do. Well, I shouldn't generalize like that, but I think a lot of people probably do not understand we're not all hitting Broadway. Mm-mm. As much as we would love to, as much as there's a lot of fame and all that, but it's not going to happen. It's like the athletes, right? There's only 2% who
That's
ever,
right.
whoever really, yeah, it's hard. It's right.
It's hard.
That's the point, I think. Really, eventually, it's hard.
It's hard, and a lot of it is luck and just being in the right place at the right time and knowing the right people. I had friends in New York that never expected to end up on Broadway, and then they got a phone call the next day, and their world changed. And when I was in New York, I never made it to Broadway. That's okay. I had a lot of fun.
She's not crying.
No,
She's not
I'm
bitter.
not crying. I cry a lot, but not about this. I had a lot of fun working on what I worked on, and I think that's what centralized my experience was the fun.
The fun. Hang on. We're putting another pin in that right there. You are listening to NH Unscripted. Oh, yeah, I am your host with the bunny slippers on, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the spa-like conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. We got one more block to go, and I have some more questions. Be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted, where we are clapping for the Wolfman. That makes me your Guess Who host, like Ray Dudley. Yeah, coming to you from the Car 54 light digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. Deep, deep, deep in the bunkers. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. For you people who got your transistor radios tuned the right way, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL where you can find the archives of this, what should be an award-winning show, plus all the other great things that take place here at the studio. Plus, you can listen live. There's a little button out there. Yeah, this show comes to you every Wednesday and Friday mornings at 9 a.m., Yeah, but you probably already knew that and just been sitting by the radio waiting. Anyway, as this old man rambles. So I wanted to talk to you about, you said that you actually want to sprinkle in some professional artists to work with the students.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's funny because on that list that we made way back in the summer of 22, we were like, we want professionals to be working, like eye to eye, as my friend Jared at Andy's always says. We want professionals working eye to eye with students. And so right away, our first show, we were like, my dear friend, Theater Kapow company member, Peter Josephson, came and was in a show. So like the curtain opens and suddenly there's a high school show with I'm not going to say how old Peter is, but he's not in high school. And I think immediately our community was like, oh, whoa, this is something different. And that was just what the community saw. What our kids saw was every day in rehearsal getting to work alongside Peter, right?
Yes.
Which many actors in this state have had that experience, and it's a beautiful and always a learning experience. But to have teenagers in the room with Peter working, and the thing, and this is kind of cliche, but Peter would tell you he learned a ton from them too, right? Like being in the space with them, seeing theater through the eyes of a teenager for a little while was this magic moment. And we have continued to try. So it's like, we'll bring in a professional music director. We'll bring in a choreographer. We'll bring in different people to work with the kids so that they're getting that professional feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Costume designers, anything. Like we are both blessed to have like a Rolodex of people who are excited to come like pay it back to the theater kid or the performing kid that they once were.
Do they come in to assist in working, or do they come in as a speaker, as like a module where they will teach their craft?
So we've done some of both. We've done, in my classes, I've had people Zoom in, or I've had people visit the class, or because, we've got a bunch of New Hampton branded vehicles, we'll drive out somewhere and go. We've done tours at the Bank of New Hampshire stage here in Concord. We've done stuff where we take kids into spaces, but we like to actually include those professionals in the art making process. And so in the shows that we're talking about, they're actually in rehearsal with us. They're in Tech Week with us working on shows. And I think that's really key, that they're modeling the professionalism that we expect of our students.
You mentioned you take them places.
We take them places.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not mention in your email to me something about Italy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Flesh that out. What happened there?
I have a soft spot in my heart for the region of Umbria in Italy, and specifically the city of Spoleto. La Mama, which is a New York-based theater company, has a space in Spoleto, and I guess like a year and a half ago, I said to Kyrie, I was like, I want to take a group of kids to Spoleto. I want to go into Umbria and I want to train them up in theater. I want to meet with some artists that I know in that region, and just have them have that experience of art making in a different part of the world. Mm-hmm. And so we took 12 students to Spoleto in March last year. What I love about that is that it's a very democratizing process, right? New Hampton School does something called Project Week, where our kids all take a week off from school and travel or do a certain project. For us, it was this project in Umbria. For others, it was lifeguarding, or there was a group that went to Iceland. Like, there's all these different projects. I think the thing that was most heartening for me was we had a kid who had never been on a plane before. Right. So here she is. Her first plane flight ever is to fly to Italy. Mm-hmm. And then we had kids we had a kid from Mexico City who had flown all over the world. But having them all together, we lived in an Airbnb for a week. So it wasn't like separate hotel rooms. We made breakfast for each other every morning. And it was, for me, it was kind of a life-changing experience. So I don't know what it was like for the kids. But
I think you could see it on their faces that it was a life-changing experience. I go back and look at the pictures sometimes. We have part of Project Week is a public output. The students write a blog about their experience, and they add pictures and talk about what they're learning and how they're learning it. And going back and looking at some of those pictures, you can see like the light in their eyes as they're experiencing what Spoleto is in the afternoon, and then Rome in the evening, going to see the Colosseum at 11. That one student that standing in front of the Colosseum, wanting to apply to school to study the classics, breaking down in tears, just seeing this huge structure in front of her.
Man, I can imagine.
Yeah. And I think this year kind of pulls together everything that you're talking about, because Kyrie has some friends in the stage combat world. And so instead of going to them, we're bringing them to campus to lead a stage combat Project Week, which
Yeah.
You have more details on than I do.
I have two friends coming up from Atlanta. They're part of a company down there called Havoc Movement, who creates dynamic theatrical pieces centered around physical storytelling. And they are sending 2 people to us for the week to help students understand what physical storytelling is and generate their own pieces of work at the end of it.
For a full week.
For a full week. Yeah. Well, 5 days.
Yeah.
But yeah. A full academic week.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, since it's the last block here, I want to make sure that what's coming up? What's on the docket for the future here?
Yeah, well, we have 2 shows left this season, so we have 6, and we have She Kills Monsters coming up to round out our season. People can certainly come follow us on NHS Arts on Instagram and learn all about what's going on. I think for us, a lot of the next couple weeks, couple months is going to be about this admissions process, and I think telling the story of New Hampton School, so thank you for having us and allowing us this time to share what we're all about, but it's not always going to be on the radio. Most of the time, it's going to be one-on-one with a parent in a living room or in our office talking about how it is we think we can change their child's life through education at New Hampton School. And I think it's super important to mention because, my colleagues will listen to this eventually. There's more than theater at New Hampton.
Yes.
We are a school. We are an international baccalaureate school, one of very few in New England. High, you can get a high quality education at New Hampton and do all of this theater stuff.
So the program is basically 3 years old at this point?
The program as it exists is about 3 years old. It's interesting because, this program has a pretty rich history of names in New Hampshire that people will know. Like Van McLeod worked at New Hampton School, and Morgan Murphy ran the theater program at New Hampton School. Joe Sampson was prior to us in New Hampton School, who's done a lot of work regionally. So there are some big names. Meredith Bolio now, who many people know, who's worked both at the Winnipesaukee Playhouse and all over the place, was the technical director at New Hampton. So we actually have a pretty rich history in that program. It's just that, like many schools, after COVID, it was hard to get back on your feet, and it just needed that influx of energy, I think, to get to where we are today.
Yeah. So where do you see it eventually? Obviously, you're not stopping here because you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't. So what do you see the future? What other types of vision do you have for add-ons, let's say, that's lack of a better term?
We are doing a lot of work right now on community spaces on campus. The school's about to go into a campaign to improve some of our community spaces, mostly our dining hall and our student community spaces. For me, and our art spaces, some of our art spaces. To me, there's an opportunity for us to do some facility upgrades around performance, if that's a little black box space or rehearsal studios. There's some opportunities to continue to make upgrades. We made considerable upgrades in the McAvoy Theater. Our theater on campus has moved all over to LED lighting. It's becoming a very high-tech space. But I think that what makes our program good is that Kyrie and I are always hungry to make it better. So it's like, what can we do? What's the quarter turn we can take today to make the program just a little bit better?
So you've got these modules. Are you planning on expanding those? Oh, come on.
To be continued.
Yes. Give me the URL again of the school.
newhampton.org.
Yes, you have been listening to NH Unscripted. Yeah, we're laying a little love on you. Doggone it. Yeah, that makes me your Robin McNamara-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Hollywood Square-like digs of the WKXL studios, where I love to sit in the center square. Yes, I do. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. Where are those folks in Concord with their transistor radios? 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls of Manchester. I want to thank my guest today, Mr. Matthew Cahoon, Kyrie Ellison-Keller, right? Keller, sorry.
Okay.
That's an old man's mistake. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. We'll see you on the next one.